Welcome to Inside Builder channel, Python experts, programming enthusiasts, and my dear friends. Data structures. Introducing dictionary from a problem solving perspective. In this discussion, what we are planning to do is we will try to understand how dictionary is a collection of mapping of objects. We will be Before diving into this, we will also see how this collection and mapping the objects with each other is going to help, what kind of problems it can solve. We will also look at a lot of examples of dictionaries that you can create in Python, especially in this particular language. And then finally, we will look at an implementation where we create multiple objects and we will try to create mappings between these objects. And we don't stop there. We use this mapping and then we start creating modifications. So that is the next step that we are going to do. We can work on the individual objects and we can do a lot of stuff. Apart from this, one of the important point we have to remember when we are going to use dictionary is that the keys that we are going to use in dictionary has to be immutable and hashable. Okay, so a dictionary basically is one of the most simplest data structures which has a key and a value. Let's go to the examples. Let me scroll down. I'll be discussing these steps, these points in a couple of minutes. Let me first of all zoom in on the empty dictionary. So the empty dictionary that you're seeing here has just open and close curly braces. You can create an empty dictionary like this, or you can use the dictionary keyword also to create it. So if I say empty, I'm actually creating it as a comment here, but you can uncomment it and you can create it like this also. So this will also create an empty dictionary, and you can also create an empty dictionary like this too. So that is also acceptable. These are all empty dictionaries, meaning these dictionaries have no values or data inside the dictionaries. One more important point I want you to remember is that there are basic primitive dictionaries, that is list, string, uh, dictionary, and we have tuples also. So these data structures can be used on higher order data structures like data frames. We can use it on various different kind of data structure like default dict, try, stacks and queues, and lot more. Why I am discussing those is whenever you are going to work with a data set, a data structure, a particular data structure can solve a particular kinds of problems. So here I am actually talking about the various problems that the dictionary can solve. First important problem it can solve is a fast lookup. It can actually do a lookup with at the rate of constant time, meaning you are not going to iterate on all the elements before you are going to find a particular data point. I'll be showing you how that is happening in a couple of minutes. We can do the counting of the occurrences in the given data. The example is also provided here. This particular Python script will be available for you to download from the GitHub repo, so don't worry about that. It will contain the examples also. It can be used for grouping data. It can be, you can see that there is a code that is provided here for grouping the data. It can be used for storing configuration settings, for caching results. This is one of the most frequently used solution using the dictionary. It is used in recursive problems also to speed up the problem output. So this catching result, do keep it in mind. So you can see an example of that function also. You can map unique identifiers, default values in settings. So there are certain ways to provide default values when you're going to work with configurations. You can work with the bidirectional mapping. So you can map the value and the key, and you can remap it as the value to key and the key to value. So all these things are possible. So why I'm introducing all these problems that the dictionary can solve. At the end of the day, you want the machine to solve a problem, right? But you should know that using a particular data structure, what kind of problems that machine can solve. It is as simple as that. But once you are aware of those problems, you need to understand what kind of data you'll need and how to use it, right? Now we have seen the various problems the dictionary can solve, and next what we are going to do is we're going to look at the various valid dictionaries. As I always say to all my friends and those who discuss with me, that you need to look at the data. You need to look at how the values and the keys are assigned inside the dictionaries. uh, that is the most easiest way of working on the actual code. If you don't know that the dictionary structure is like this, it is containing the key of name, age and grade, you will not be able to access the name value. So that is as simple as that. You need to know that name, a string, can also contain a value of John. So this key can be a string and the value can be a string. The key can be a string and the value can be a integer. Same way, here you can see the key can be a string and the value can be a boolean. The value can be another dictionary also. You can see that here. A key can contain a complete dictionary. This is interesting, right? A key here is containing a complete list. What's more interesting is you cannot actually have a list as a key. Why is that? Because it will make this particular rule to fail. The keys must be immutable, hashable. This will fail if you are going to use list, because the list is mutable, meaning you can actually append to the list. So that will actually break the dictionary data structure. So basically these keys are hashed in the backend, and the hash value is mapped with the value that you are assigning. So that's how the internals of the dictionary works. You don't need to know that in detail, but you need to know one important thing is that what kind of things are valid and what kind of things are not valid. I have shown you all the valid things here, but the most important thing is I have not shown you what is not valid or invalid, right? So you cannot use list in this side. That will not work. And even you can use integers. If you see, you can use integers here. You can use integer and map integers to it. You can use integers as key and map strings to it. Nothing wrong. But if you're going to map integers, why not directly use list? Because anyway, list has indexes, right? Again, moving forward, as you can see, the interesting thing is you can actually have none values also as values, and you can have even the entire functions, the lambda functions, as values. So functions are objects in first class objects in Python. So yes, you can assign the functions as values inside the dictionary, and it is completely acceptable. You can see that integers are keys and the values are the strings here. If you scroll down, you can see tuples. Again, these tuples are immutable, meaning you cannot append or delete anything or any element from this tuple, so it is acceptable. And moving forward, you can have none value as key. So how are you going to refer to this? Think about it. Take this particular data, put it in Python ideally, and see how you can get the value of the no value. And moving forward, you can actually create frozen sets, even because a frozen set by the name itself is immutable. So that also you can use to create the key. And finally, you can have the entire classes as keys also. So that is also acceptable because they are not mutable. Yeah. And we have enums also. You can have it as key because they are also not immutable. The binary strings are also immutable, so you cannot have them as you can have them as keys. And finally, we have hash functions. The functions are themselves, like for an example, hash, len, all these are immutable in Python. So these are also, you can actually use it as dictionaries. So as I was discussing all these points, most of the time I was trying to explain that certain things are immutable That is why they can be used as keys. When it comes to values, it does not matter whether it is mutable or immutable. The values can be anything. That is what we are going to look at next. What we are going to do now is, I have continued using the turtle module, and I am trying to work with the rectangles that we already worked in the earlier discussion. The same rectangle turtle class I am using. However, the difference in this case is I am going to use the dictionary in a different way. So in this case of the script, it doesn't have a main section. So instead of main section, I am going to import the entire dictionary. The entire dictionary, which contains both the key and the values, are going to be imported. And once it is imported, I am going to work from those values that is imported. This is going to be a fun way of looking at stuff. So let me explain what's going on here. This entire rectangle turtle rectangle turtle class has been copied from the earlier list datastructure underscore list.py that I have copied it. I am setting up the environment, the turtle environment, and then I am explaining what is a dict. So here I am creating a dict with the name duo, trio, quattro, penta. So I am going to create 5 rectangles with different locations. So the rectangle name and the location or the coordinates where the rectangles are positioned are created as dictionary. So the name, the string is the key, and the coordinates, the list coordinates is the value. So like this, I have created it. As I already explained, the idea of these videos are not to teach you about the data structures themselves. The idea is to make you look at some kind of examples which is not regularly present in your books or your the other tutorials that you come across. So this is to prime your creativity and think completely out of the box and come up with new ways of trying to work with the data structures and the programming language. Continuing. So this particular coord dictionary variable is going to contain these data, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rectangle underscore dict. So this dictionary is another one dictionary where I am going to map the name that you see here with the coordinates, and also then create a rectangle on that coordinates with the breadth and length of 300. So that's what I am doing it in this particular area. So what I'm doing is I am printing the key list here so that you can see the key list every time you import this particular script, and you will be enumerating this on the key list. I'll be showing you how the key list works, and then you will be populating this dictionary. See, this dictionary is empty in the beginning, but once you execute the script, what will happen is this rectangle underscore dictionary will get populated, and it will be populated along with the names that you see here and with the rectangle turtle object, and from that object we can start operating. Now that I've given you an overview of the code, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to start executing. Let's do that. So I am already in the folder location in the path where the scripts are available. So I am going to open IPython ideally. Here I am going to work with the import data structure dict. Okay, I am going to say from data structure dict I want rectangle dict. From data structure dict, okay, just a minute, import rectangle dict. The moment I say import rectangle dict, you can see that I am getting this list of elements, right? This is occurring because the entire code that you see here gets executed when I am importing it. Yeah, you heard me right. If you have been watching the various other videos that I have made, I have discussed this point. This entire script is actually a module. And when we are trying to import any of the part of this particular module, it will execute the entire file. So that's how it works. So for an example, if I want to import this particular variable name, I can do that. So if I go here and if I say from data structure Dict, if I say I want to import mixed keys, it will actually import. And now if I say print mixed keys, it will be able to print that, because that is how the entire stuff works. So you can see that it is able to print the mixed keys also. So this is the value that you see here. We are going to leverage this right now. So as I already told, that the entire script has been executed. So that means that it has looked at this coordinate coord dict also. It has looked at this, it has created this rect underscore dict, and then it has run this entire code also, entire for loop also, meaning this rect underscore dict is already populated. So let us see that. So let us do a rect underscore dict and press enter. You can see that the output is showing that it is having the names uno, duo, trio, quattro, penta, and it is having an objects assigned to each of the names. So that's one of the important aspects of how you can work with Python and how you can work with the various modules that you have got. What is more interesting is that how you are going to deal with the next step. So what we are going to do is we are going to start playing with the turtle right now. So the idea here is that if I call the rectangle rect underscore dict, and if I give uno, if I ask for uno, and if I ask to draw self, then it should actually draw that particular uno rectangle. So let me execute, and you will see that it is actually drawing that particular rectangle. Cool, right? And if I say that destroy self, it will destroy itself. It's gone. And if I run it again, it's going to draw it again. But now you find something funny. Why that draw self for uno did the drawing in the right side earlier, and now it is doing in the left side? What's actually happening? So this is one of the questions that I want you guys to solve. Take a look at the code and see what has gone wrong, and you'll be finding something interesting. Okay, destroy self, it will destroy it. Now if you want to get more information, so if you want to play with say penta, so if you want to work with the penta rectangle, you can do the same thing, and it is drawing it somewhere outside, right? And you can draw the other rectangles also, nothing is stopping us. So you can work with quattro and the trio, whatever, quattro, trio, so all those things will get drawn. If you want to ask for the give dims, it will give the dims also. So it will give the dims. You can see that the dims got updated here, and it is actually a little bit outside because of the locations that I have given the rectangle. So let me do one thing, let me do it for duo. So that should help us, right? So it is actually giving the length, the rectangle duo dimensions, but we want it to draw itself, right? So let's draw the self. So it is drawing the duo rectangle. Now we have seen one of the important points, that we are able to call a particular object that is assigned to a particular name inside the dictionary, and then we are able to call the methods also. So this is one of the most important benefits or a solution that the dictionary provides, and hash map. So you are mapping a particular object to a particular name, and as I already told, the key, the name that you are going to map the particular object, the name has to be immutable, the key has to be immutable. Once that is done, you can do a lot of stuff with that. Just think about the list that we created earlier. So in case of list, we would have done like this. We would have done rectangle. We can actually import that also, I suppose. But if I do a rectangle list, then I would actually access it using this kind of indices, right? You'll use numbers. but you actually do not know what that number is representing. It could be anything, but in this case, you are actually representing a particular name of that particular object. So this becomes really helpful when you're going to write a code that is more readable, and you can share that code among various people, and they can still easily play with it and also modify it without any challenges. Help is going to be very useful. The doc strings that is going to be presented in various functions are always there, but able to create code that is readable and also transferable, easily understandable, is one of the important aspects, and dictionary does help in that really well. If you take a look at the problems that the dictionary is solving, so I have listed all the problems, not all the problems actually. So I have listed the most favored problems that dictionary solves, but one that is not listed here is the readability. So it solves the problem of readability by the users, and also it helps us to visualize. When you look at the say, if you go and look at this particular grade, you can take a look at this entire data. So this particular data is talking about a person, a student, and it is talking about the grades that the student has got in a particular in couple of subjects. But you can immediately see here that this list is talking about 3 different subjects, but we don't know what the subjects are. So how can we improve this? You can try your hand on that. Here it is talking about the functions, the lambda functions. Can we improve it in some other way? Can you create more complex functions and assign it? Try that out. If you scroll down, you can see that we can create the entire classes, and we can create those classes into keys. Can you do the same thing for the rectangle object that we created? That is a question that you can actually experiment with. And what is enum? Why are we using enum here, and how is this enum going to help? Will we need enum? And you must have already seen the object oriented programming videos, and you have seen that then there could be a kind of a parallel that is coming between the dictionary as well as the classes. Can you visualize that? Can you see that there is a kind of a mapping that the class name and the variables inside are creating, and this self keyword is doing the mapping for it? If you are able to visualize these stuff, and if you are able to intuitively think about these data structures, the objects, and how these are linked together and mapped together, then solving problems like those listed above here can become way more interesting. The time you spend on solving trivial problems, these are all trivial problems. If you look at it, these problems like set default values on configuration, map both keys to values and values to keys, these are all very trivial problems. And if you can solve these trivial problems without looking up something like an example or something, then you will be able to solve much more challenging and complex problems way more easily. That is also one of the reason why I wanted to catalog these problems and place it here, so that you guys can peruse it. So with that said, I would like to move back and do a recap. So we saw how the key values of the dictionaries can be used, and how the key can be used to identify a particular object and then play with it. We saw how we can work by drawing self, destroying self, give dims, and locate home, etc. By using this kind of names that we are given here. The same kind of mapping, you can see the mapping that you are given here, we have done it in the code also. We also saw that how the collection of mappings and objects can solve various problems, and we saw the list of problems there. So I believe that this video is pretty good and eye-opening what is possible with dictionary. I'll be diving into the various other kinds of data structures in the next video, and then from there move to the next step, where we will discuss about couple of data structures more. With that said, I would like to leave this particular video with 4 words, that is practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.